I need you to be brave. You guys have been...
Just a breath of fresh air. Oh, well, that is very sweet of you to say.
Well, this was a nice guy you played.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, the remake is such a powerful film, as is the original, but there is a slight difference. Did you see the film? Did you go and watch the original film?
I did after we finished. I didn't want to see it. I'd luckily not already seen it, which was a blessing for me.
Oh, yeah.
I'd seen the trailer, but I was really happy that I hadn't seen the original because I just wanted to be able to have my own response to the material and come up with something that was from me. And then watched it the day after we wrapped. And I was really glad. I was really glad that I hadn't done it because I know I would have had that film in my head. Yeah. You don't want to be making comparisons when you're just trying to do something that you think is right.
Yeah, I mean that film is just so detailed in those characters.
Yeah.
It'd be impossible not take something from it.
Yeah, definitely.
What was it like working with James Watkins and kind of building this guy?
It was brilliant. Look, the great thing about working with a writer-director is you've got a sort of, before you've even met him, you've got a through line into the way he's thinking, what he wants, and what he wants his film to be like, because he's expressed himself on the page, textually and subtextually, and you've absorbed all that. And then you get to go, hey, what do you want to do with this film beyond what I've just read? Yeah. And you take it to another level. And he was really collaborative and communicative, and really, really keen for me to bring what I wanted to bring to the character too. And so it was just about what was already great on the page. It was about building it even further. And every day on set, we were chipping away, trying to find more nuance, trying to find more depth, trying to find new heights of discomfort for the Daltons, but also for the audience. And it was a lot of fun doing that with James. Great director.
It is uncomfortable at times, for sure.
Yeah, that's the exercise. That's what we were trying to do with you.
Well, you know what's funny is that I look at your career, and I remember early back when I've interviewed you a long time ago, you have kind of gotten into these really dark, incredible roles.
Yeah.
What is the appeal for you? Because you're good at this.
They're fun sometimes. The ones that I've got to play have been a lot of fun, particularly.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been sent a lot of roles that are dark and sort of unhinged and all that kind of stuff, and I've said no because that's all they are.
Yeah.
But I think with a guy like Paddy, he's every time I look at that, I laugh. That's not my hand. That's someone else's hand. My fingers aren't that hairy. With a guy like Paddy, he's not just unhinged. He's just not just a psychopath. Yeah. He's not just an animal. He is also something else. There's something really attractive and charming about him too. Yeah. And sometimes he's got a point, or he's got enough of a point to lace his misogynistic, maybe politically incorrect doctrine with, I kind of can get on board with this, and then that means you're messing with the audience a little bit because you're drawing them into somebody they don't want to be like, but you're making them go like, I'm enjoying watching this person. So you feel like you're kind of manipulating and messing with the audience, which is a lot of fun.
Well, especially with this character. I mean, he's really drawing them in.
Yeah.
Not only the audience, but obviously the people that
the Daltons as well, yeah.
Yeah. Is it tricky for you? I mean, is it weird to step out of a character like that and let it all go?
No, it's fine. I mean, I think when they say cut, I'm done. And I always feel like save it for the take, save it for this camera, you know? I don't want to be in character. I don't want to be carrying the tension around when they say action. It's about being as relaxed as possible when they say action so that the story can just happen through you and the story can happen to you. And then all the work you've done, all the plans you've made, all the decisions you've made just happen by accident, and that's when it feels good. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think I'm going to quote Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen was saying sometimes, like, when he was doing Shakespeare and it was at its best, it was almost like playing a piano, and he didn't know if he was playing the piano or the piano was playing him. And sometimes in a scene, that's what it feels like when you're able to be relaxed enough, when the script is good enough, when your scene partners are good enough, and when you've done all the work and then you just forget it all and let it happen. That's when it's at its best.
Well, dude, you are one of the best.
Cool, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks,
Cheers. First of all, this is really a great performance. I mean, how do you connect to someone like this who is doing some dangerous stuff, like getting involved with a family that maybe they shouldn't?
She didn't want to.
She didn't want to?
She did it for the sake of her marriage,
Yeah.
which is the lesson. Don't compromise. Just do you. And find somebody who gets that.
Yeah, I think that what I really liked about the performance is that, I was especially with you. I'm like, she wants to get the hell out there.
But it's quite relatable, right? That like sometimes, especially if you're in a sort of uneven footing within your marriage or your relationship, that you have to make decisions that are like, okay, I have to do this one for you. Like, we'll go to the scary house in the countryside. Fine. I hear you, I see you, like, but remember that I did this. And yeah, it's a good sort of device for justifying why they keep going back, because they're not just like trying to stay alive, they're trying to like repair their family and like not traumatize their daughter through their fighting and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's really uncomfortable.
Well, I think the best horror for me comes of the reality of the real trials of life. And that's the marriage. Because not only are you guys trying to keep marriage together, you're trying to keep it for your kid.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's huge. And that's why that movie, what was the relationship you guys built? Because I know you worked with him before. What a lovely man. You worked with them before. What was it like building the family?
Kind of easy. I mean, Scoot and I had known each other for a long time, and so we'd worked together before, so I felt like that was quite easy. And then Alex, who plays our daughter, was like, she's just really experienced as an actor. She's really sweet and lovely, but nothing really phases her, and she's able to just get into it right away. And then I really liked her a lot, you know, which is important. I thought she was really cool and lovely. So yeah, it kind of melded really fast. Plus, we started the movie by going on this, you know, vacation. We were shooting in Croatia, and that gave us all a chance to be like out of our normal life together. Like, let's bond and grow.
For a movie like this, is it easier to kind of, do you find yourself in having a lot of lighter moments on set? Because obviously the subject matter is a little dark.
Yeah, exactly. There's no desire to like stay in it. You kind of want to like break it and yeah, like have a nice time in addition to having a horrible time.
I mean, why not? Why would you want to be in a? Why
you
would
want
both. James Watkins is such a good director at this. Eden Lake is, I think, a classic in film. What was it like working with him?
He's great. I mean, I think he's so clever, and that the whole movie sort of smacks of that he's really trying to resist over-egging anything or like falling into traditional tropes. He's like much more inspired, I think, by Haneke and by like it's an adaptation of a Danish film, and doing this sort of slow, creepy, sort of uncomfortable burn rather than just like nonstop jump scares. Yeah. And the cool thing about the movie is you do get both. Like the end of the movie is like proper, I mean, you've seen it in the trailer, like thriller territory being hunted by a madman. Yeah. But the first 2/3 are, they're really uncomfortable, and it's not because you're in danger.
Ever seen the original?
I have, yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure. We gotta wrap it up.
Okay, nice to
always
see you.
lovely talking to you.
You too.
Look at their faces.
We should have taken a picture.
Of course I'm a bloody doctor.
We totally had that. We totally had you, right?
How else could we afford all this? Come here.
First of all, I've been a fan of your work for a long time. I've seen you do. You're a chameleon. You play all these different roles. What led you to this?
Thank you so much for the kind words. Multiple things. I had seen the original, thought it was so well done. James Watkins was on board to direct. I was wanting to work with him, and James McAvoy as well was a big call I wanted to work with him as well. That being said, I loved this film, and I've been wanting to work with Blumhouse for a while as well, and I love psychological thrillers, a little bit more so over than the slasher horror. So all those elements involved, like I wasn't going to pass up this opportunity, and I campaigned hard for it.
Now, you've seen the original. You did it before this film. That didn't scare the hell out of you.
It did, but it wasn't. What got me excited about the original is the slow burn.
Yeah.
This sort of play into the nuances of uncomfortability and politeness, and the way that it was, the line that they towed in telling that story and with those elements to it, was something I really wanted to do as an actor. I just thought it was really well done, and then knowing that James McAvoy is going to be playing the Patty role, it just, I was over the moon to be a part of it.
What, I mean, you know, there's so much in this film. It's so, you know, in a lot of ways, I think this is just as dark as the original film, except they change a few the elements. Was it complicated? Did it create a problem for you, kind of finding your own self in this role, with knowing so much about the original film?
Great question. Actually, no. I thought that the actor that played Ben's character in the original did a superb job. There was a lot of that stillness and that sort of bleakness that I really, really leaned into. I thought he did so well that I sort of it was the catapult to me starting with the first act, because the first act and the second act are somewhat similar to the original. That and then obviously it goes in different places, and I wanted to do something different, and it's a different Patty. But my launching point was very close to what the original actor had done. I thought he did a fantastic job.
Now, we're building a relationship with, like, Mackenzie. You guys are so good in this. And what was it like in finding that connection and making that work?
It wasn't hard. Me and Mackenzie Davis had, we'd worked together for 4 seasons on a show. So it wasn't like we had done one movie together. We'd spent a good 4 years together. So we knew each other really well. So it's always great when you've worked with somebody and you know them that well, because the chemistry's already there. Yeah. And so we were really excited for her to come on and play this part, and it's a hard role. She's a great actor, and I thought she did an incredible job with it of towing that line.
If you meet someone, if you're on a trip somewhere, and someone says, "Hey, yeah, come out for the weekend," would you ever do this?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Yes, I'm a way too trusting individual, and I would go out there until I saw something out there that wasn't okay with me. But yeah, I'm always up for an adventure.
Well, that's what makes a movie interesting.
Absolutely.
Because these people they're not downright crazy at the beginning. It's strange, uncomfortable.
They're very magnetic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think there's a difference between how American audiences respond to violence and the bleakness, maybe, then?
I'm sure that there is. You're correct. As far as the nuances of that response to violence or whatnot, it'd be hard for me to comment on that because I don't know necessarily the nuances of it. But I do know that there is a juxtaposition between other places in our country, in America, of cultural, society norms that are different, you know.
Yeah. We got to wrap it, dude.
Awesome.
You were fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks.
It's a pleasure meeting you, man. Great seeing you again, by the way.
You too.
It's funny. For a minute, I was thinking, why would someone? This is such a bleak film. Why? But then you did Eden Lake, so there you go.
I had that conversation with Christian.
Did you?
Yeah. Christian said when he was making his film that he was inspired by Eden Lake. So it was kind of a weird circularity.
Oh, that's full. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you chose this film. What was it about this story, and why did you think it translates so well?
I love Christian's film, and I love the bleakness. And as you say, I've made a film with similar bleakness, right?
Oh, yeah.
So and that's cool. But I love the setup. I loved everyone thing in the film, but there's no point remaking the same movie. You should go and watch Christian's movie, right? And you can, and hopefully the two films, this will drive traffic to his film, and people can have a double bill if they want or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But when I saw this film, I thought I love the setup, and I think I can take that setup in a different place, and the theme of it, that theme of social propriety and anxiety and the constraints that we put on ourselves by trying to be polite and whatever, and how we call people out and all of that sort of stuff. For me, going back to Eden Lake, the sort of horror movies, thrillers, whatever, that I most enjoy are the ones that speak to the anxieties about the world in which we live, that aren't just clockwork scares, but have a resonance about about our lives, everyday lives. So I thought I could take Christian's setup and an awful lot in his movie and take it, and play it also in a slightly different key, just because, it's like, I was sort of saying it's a bit like Christian's made this brilliant acoustic album, and then we've kind of gone and got out our electric guitars. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and both are equally, you know, depends on your mood, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you want acoustic, sometimes you want electric. It's just, you know, and I think they can have an interesting conversation. Does that make sense? Yeah.
No, I think it does. I actually watched the Christian's film this weekend again, just to prepare for this. And I was like, okay, no, it's an interesting thing too, because I believe that first Americans don't respond as well to bleakness in general, and I think what you said though is really interesting. Anxieties, we're dealing with a lot of that shit lately.
We live in a world of anxiety.
Yeah,
an age of anxiety, and I think horror movies now, you know, you look back to say Get Out or whatever, you look at films that they're a really great vehicle to explore those anxieties, you know, in a public space, and to sort of wash them through a little bit in a context of enjoyment, you know?
For sure.
Turning anxiety in, you know, music does it brilliantly, you know? Turning anxiety and processing it and dealing with it and coming out the other side.
Yeah, for sure. Now we gotta talk James McAvoy.
Yeah.
My God.
He's amazing.
How did you know he was the right one?
I'd seen a film called Filth that he'd done years ago, and I know his work really well, and I just, when I was writing, I had James in mind, and I just thought, if I can get McAvoy, I'm in a good place. And he was the first person, he read it, and we had a cup of tea, and he was in, and it was brilliant. So just that, to walk that line between being charming and magnetic, and then, you know, just in his smile, the micro gestures, his size, his smile, what's encoded in that? Is he fun, or is he the devil? You know? Yeah, he's so brilliant. He is a world-class actor.
He really is.
Yeah, and other actors look at him and go, holy, you know, how good is. I mean, literally, Scoot would be, every day would be coming up to me and we'd be going, both of us would be going, how fucking good is James McAvoy?
Well, dude, unfortunately, we got wrapped.
Okay.
It's fun, man. I love talking.